I'm Kristen Clark, and I'm here with Bobby Hood. Bobby, how are you doing today?
Just great. It's a pretty day outside.
Yep, gotta love this Texas weather. Last night we had hail the size of quarters, and today
Exactly.
it's gorgeous, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So today we're going to talk about the top three things that are to prepare for college for our rising seniors. And, you know, summer's coming up. It's been a weird year. So how do we get ahead? How do we take advantage of our summer, not feel too stressed? What would you say is the first thing they need to worry about?
Well, yeah. So summer before senior year, right? It's easy to have been focused on just dealing with COVID and everything over the past year and the change in school and everything. And now it's going to be time to apply to college. And so you need to start it's going to start moving really quickly in the fall. So you've got to figure out what colleges you're going to apply to, right? It's so easy to just apply to the two places that everybody in your high school goes to, or apply to just the places you've heard of, or it's easy to get overwhelmed by it and try to apply to 20 different colleges, right? And neither of those things really make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. And, college visits, as we've talked about in the past, I think are just huge. It's important. You walk on campus, you get the feel for it. And, getting as many of those in this summer would be helpful as well. Because then you still have the time in the fall of next year and spring to do a little bit more of that. But I'd say, hey, if you can get ahead of it, let's do it. And we've talked before, one of the things that we always did on family trips is if there was a college within 30 miles, man, we would get off the highway and hit it and just to see it, even if it was one that I wasn't interested in or the kids weren't interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the things is I think sometimes people think, oh, you're going to spend a summer before your senior year, writing your college essays and all that. And you do need to start thinking about it. But the Common App doesn't update until July 31st. So it's really in August, you can start putting together all that and your spreadsheets and things of what are the application requirements? What are the essays? All that. You can start working on your Common App essays, but there's also, Texas schools, there's an Apply Texas website, and California schools have there are all these different, places to apply. So all of that is stuff you're really going to start in August. And so you've got to, do exactly what you're talking about, which is there are some different factors that go into college. Is it going to have the degree program that I want and all of those things? But are you going to feel like you fit in? Are you going to feel comfortable? Are you going to be happy? And that could be as simple as, do you want to be out, in a rural town in the country? Do you want to be in the middle of the downtown? Rice University is in downtown Houston and in the middle of the city. But then University of Virginia is this, very calm, quiet, green campus. Until you've gone and walked around, you don't know. You might find that stifling. You might find it exciting.
Right.
You need to find out.
You need to start your list of all those preferences. And then we always talk about the Princeton review site, right? It has where you can go in and put in your preferences and they spit out colleges, and it's a great tool to use as well.
Absolutely. They've got their famous, lists of colleges, and you can go look at the list of the colleges where students study the most, the list where students study the least, the colleges where students are very liberal or conservative, the colleges with the best workout facilities or the best food or the best outdoor activities or whatever, right? And so that's a good way to start, and you'll come up with names of colleges that you may not have even heard of. And then, I've told this story before, I think, but I used to work with a guy who played football at the University of Hawaii for college. You can go to university in Hawaii. That's a thing that you can do.
Yep.
It always kind of confused me why I didn't think more about it and go to college somewhere near a beach.
I know, right?
Why did I choose to go to a landlocked university?
Bobby, I know it's a sign of the times, but I applied to one college, my state college, and I got in. Thank the Lord. But yeah, there's so many great options that you may not have thought about. So definitely let's put that top on the list for the summer.
Absolutely.
Second thing, is we talked, you said earlier about essays.
Right.
Even though the Common App isn't out, they have posted their questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in February of each year, they post what the questions are going to be, and you can go into Common App and start filling it out. But then on July 31st, it updates with whatever new requirements each college has or whatever. So there's really not any point to filling anything out before July 31st, but you can start working on the essays. And the essays, like I looked at the list, they're the same as they were last year, although they have added a new question that, of the 8 questions you can choose from, which is, what are you thankful for or feeling gratitude for this year, which is a nice question to add after COVID. But yeah, you can start working on those. But keep in mind that like each college picks out and they say, we want you to do one of these 3 or 4, and like 2 of them are often required. So you don't get to pick which essays that you're going to do. You might end up with different colleges, and more colleges you apply to, you might have to write 4 or 5 separate essays, right? So that's something to keep in mind, that like you should start working on it and start putting that stuff together. Absolutely. And then plan on starting in August. That's when you're going to really get serious about Common App and start filling that stuff in, because you'd rather do it during the summer, because in the fall you're going to have too many things going on senior year to like focus very well on this, and it will turn into nasty fights at home.
Right. With, and I'll Bobby and I have really good resources. If you would like to get a coach to help you with your essays, we definitely have some of our favorites that we would love to recommend.
Oh, absolutely. And I do review students' essays. It's not my primary thing that I do, since I tutor students, but usually students I've tutored about a fifth of them have me read their essays and help them write them, help them like choose a topic and make sure that they look good, so I'm always happy to help with that. And I do have resources I can connect you to for the full college planning process if you want to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a list on my website too, if you want to download one there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing that we'll want to talk about is trying to figure out a major.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That.
So yeah, you need to figure out, like, do I want to go to a big college or a small college or far away from home or whatever? But how, like, you might go fall in love with the place, but if it doesn't include good degree programs in the areas that you're interested in, like the whole point is to get good experience and good knowledge to help you go and find a career that you're going to actually enjoy. And this is the thing that I think everybody forgets to do completely. Right? They just think, oh, I'll go to college and I'll just take some classes and figure it out. Well, what if you discover that you want to be a marine biology major, right? You need to be at particular colleges for that. What if you decide you want to be a TV journalist,
I'm going to change one thing. I don't think people forget to do this, Bobby.
Right.
From what I see, they get confused and it's scary. So,
right. They want to, but then they don't know how to do it, and they wish they knew. And so they just kind of give up, and put it off and say, well, I guess I'll figure it out in college.
Yeah.
And so that's, yeah. And so that's where, I mean, like I've had students who've gone through your strengths, program, and it's really, really helped them out dramatically. And so, yeah, I think if you were to kind of concurrently do that this summer, explore what your strengths are, and not necessarily exactly what your major should be or what your career should be, but what your strengths are and what sorts of majors you ought to explore and think about. Then do that in connection with visiting some colleges and asking them about the things you're interested in, right? Do you have, like, what do you have in the journalism department? What do you have in the marine biology department? That sort of thing. That's how you really find out about a college, instead of just wandering around and looking at the buildings, right?
And here's the other benefit, Bobby, and you're kind of touching on that, is when you do have an idea of what major you'd like to be in, number one, it's going to narrow the number of colleges that you might choose. But the second thing is, when you go to do your college visits, you can then choose to set an appointment with those colleges within the college, or those schools within the school. You know what I'm talking about? And
absolutely.
And ask them really specific questions about their exact program. And the other thing that I like to tell students is not only the exact major and or career path you think that you're going to follow, but what other offshoots do they have, so that when you get to college, if your thoughts adjust, you know that you've got that bandwidth to be able to make some adjustments, but not have to completely maybe change out of that school or transfer.
Absolutely.
Those things are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And this is another thing from the college admissions perspective, which is if you go on a tour, they're going to ask you to sign up and tell them your name, right? And give them your email address and stuff, right? You're going to make an appointment. And probably while you're there, you probably even should make an appointment, go talk to somebody in the admissions office or something like that. When you do that, even just going on the tour, every time you ever contact anyone in a college, whether on the phone, via email, on a tour, whatever, they at the end are going to make a little note about anything they learned about you and like whether you are interested in attending and stuff. And that goes in your file when they are considering what two students, who's going to be admitted, who's going to not be admitted, or who's going to get a scholarship and who's not going to get a scholarship. They consider what's called demonstrated interest in attending. And one of the ways they know is you came and went on a tour. You asked good questions. If you say, I know what major I think I'm interested in, and I'm interested in that, they want to accept students who are going to attend for all 4 years and graduate. And students who have an idea what they're going to do have a much more likely chance of graduating and staying all 4 years and being successful in careers. And so it's actually part of the thing. And so remember that if you're going on a tour, don't just wander off or be disinterested, right? You need to actually ask questions and things like that. They care about these things. And so that's how this all ties together. And that's why, starting to think about your major is the most valuable thing I think you can do, because you can't do any of those other processes very well. You're just going to be applying to too many colleges, or just, even with writing your essays, like if you know what it is you're interested in doing, it makes it a whole lot easier to write the essays instead of just, I want to go to college because it'll be fun and I'll meet people, right?
It does. And I will tell you that the kids that have taken my course, as you found out, when they get to doing their SATs and ACTs, or when they are writing their essays, especially, the more they know about themselves, those essays are so much easier to write.
Oh, absolutely. Because you can just mention, you tie in, I have these strengths. So then that led me to do these things, right? And that led me to be able to overcome these challenges. But when you can talk about it with some actual understanding of why this challenge was something you were able to overcome and this thing was hard. Once you know your strengths, you can figure that out.
When you know them, and what I love is the Clifton Strengths program, which I take my clients through. It actually gives you some of that language, so you don't have to do it on your own, right? It gives you a little bit. It
tells you how to talk about it. Exactly.
Yeah. So those are the three things, guys, that we suggest that you get done over the summer: college visits, getting your essays written, and figuring out your college major. And I have classes going on this summer called Pick the Right Major that I want to have you in. You can go to my website, to the student program section, and sign up. I would love to have you there.
Absolutely. All my students who've done it have really, really spoken highly of it. So yeah, I think absolutely it's something people should consider.
Yeah. And then of course, Bobby, for you, any SAT, ACT tutoring that somebody needs, let's make that happen. Are we doing tests?
Absolutely. What's that?
Are there tests available over the summer?
So yeah, there's so you've got the June SAT and ACT, and then you have one test over the summer, the July ACT and the August SAT. And so those only got added a few years ago. So that's a new option, because used to in the summer, you could prepare over the summer, but then it was, September, October before you could take the test. Now you can, right after school is out, spend the month of July preparing for the ACT. June preparing for the July ACT. You can spend the month of July preparing for the August SAT. So yeah, there's really great opportunities to knock that stuff out in the summer when you've got more time available. Because, I was just talking to someone this morning who's, got 5 AP exams to take, in a couple of weeks. And so, we can't start until those are over, and so then that really, means, we'll start in June.
Absolutely. And for the kiddos, also have some fun over the summer. We want you to
do that. Well, that's why I was really enjoying the thing with the tutoring is, I was like, okay, we tutor for an hour one day. The next day they spend 2 hours doing some homework. That's it, right? And then they can focus on whatever other things, whatever other activities, whatever unstructured stuff they want to do. Because I'm sure after this past year, students are going to really enjoy, like, having most of the day like off of the camera.
Yes, they need it. They need it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great to talk about these things. It's hopefully really helpful for everybody who's getting ready for that big senior year.
All right. Bye, guys. Have fun.